Good morning, everybody. Mark Finan here in the home weather office on this Wednesday morning. It's now the 30th day of April, 2025, the last day of April. This is the morning briefing coming to you from the home weather office, and as I look out the window, it's a mostly sunny morning. There are some clouds in the area that are quickly making their way out. And we are still looking at the chance of some thunderstorms in the Sierra this afternoon. However, the location of those thunderstorms, the likely location, let me put it this way, the forecast location of those has changed from what we were looking at yesterday. So I'll show you that, where we may see some of those big buildups this afternoon. Talk about that. Of course, I'm going to talk about the weekend, coming into a little bit better focus, getting some better model data about what might happen on Saturday. But I also want to start off with a long-range prediction. You know, I do not like to do long-range predictions. However, I would bet you a large lunch at a small drive-through window that this summer will come in cooler in Sacramento than last summer. How can I say that? Well, a note came out yesterday from the National Weather Service that the downtown location is no longer going to be, reported on. And it's the downtown location that for years we have used as the official. So when we say it's 110 in Sacramento, it's the downtown location. That is no longer going to be used. A note came out yesterday, this from the National Weather Service in Sacramento, that says that downtown Sacramento, SMTC1 is its designator. They will no longer put out a daily climate report, the preliminary monthly climate data, or the monthly weather summary. So in other words, come this summertime, when we see the official high in Sacramento come in at, let's say, 102 or whatever it might be, that is now going to be the report from Executive Airport. So what's the big deal? Well, let me show you. Executive Airport tends to run cooler than downtown, and that's actually one of the reasons they're going to be changing the site, or no longer using that site as the official site. Actually, the Weather Service kind of stopped doing that a little while ago, but that's downtown site is still puts out that daily climate report. So because of its location, it's just in a really bad spot. It gets too warm, and last summer I think was a good example of that, when we had over 50 days over 100 reported there, when the average is about 24. Was it a hot summer? Yes, but the number of days when the downtown site would go to 100, 101, 102, whereas Executive Airport might be around 98, really skewed those numbers. So let me just kind of give you an example of just yesterday. So this is the climate report that came out yesterday from Executive Airport. At Executive Airport yesterday, the official high was 83 and the average high is 76. For downtown Sacramento, the high was 85 and the average is 77. So on a day like yesterday, it was a 2-degree difference. I know, it's 2 degrees one way or the other. But what's going to happen this summer is that the daytime highs are going to come in a little bit cooler, because we won't be using the ones from downtown, and I think they're still going to be reporting them. I think we'll still be able to find them, and there may be some people that will use them as an example of a high number, but the official will be from Executive Airport, which will run a little bit cooler. So that's why I can say that I'm pretty sure that this summer will come in cooler than last summer, just because they're going to be reporting numbers from a different location that does tend to run a little bit cooler. I know, it's kind of the minutia that meteorologists, weather people kind of get into, but that's kind of the thing I like to talk about here and kind of give you an idea about as well. All right, so let's get into what's happening this morning. I mentioned the fact that we do have it's a bit of cloud cover going by. It looks a little bit more exaggerated here with the low sun angle first thing in the morning, but they're just these high, thin clouds, and you can see the motion is from the north. The marine layer not all that thick. Temperatures today will get back into the range of the mid-80s, maybe even the upper 80s. Downtown Sacramento, 90? No, I don't think we'll do 90. But But either way, I mean, that'd make April go by without a 90. The average first 90 for Sacramento is May the 4th. See, there you go again. Those are all stats that I work off of downtown Sacramento that I've used forever. Might be a little bit later for Executive Airport. Either way, we're getting close to the time of year when we usually see our first 90. And today will be a warm day, but after that, things are going to get cooler. Let's take a look. Hang on a second. I don't think I updated this. Let me go back to here, make sure I got the most recent model run. Here we go. All right. So today you saw those clouds going by, and here's that north flow. And it'll stay clear behind that. And then a little bit more offshore flow during the day tomorrow. Nice day. And then we head into the day on Friday, and we will start to see cooler weather with this trough coming in. And then during the day on Saturday, there's that developing low. Now, yesterday, that low was up here. Today, it's down here. And it's the location of the low and the path that it takes. It'll dictate whether or not one location sees any rain. So I also mentioned the fact that we're going to see some thunderstorms in the Sierra today. So let's get to that. Yesterday, the same model was showing a chance of thunderstorms much farther north. Today, it looks like it's going to be Tahoe South. Let's say Highway 50 to the south. We'll see the chance of thunderstorms. Yesterday, it was showing a big buildup to the north that could have even impacted a place like Grass Valley. But today, it's much more confined to the areas a little bit farther south. So we could see an afternoon downpour in a place like, let's say, Arnold, as we could get some of this activity down the hill, down to about 4,000 feet. Wouldn't be surprised if a sprinkle gets all the way down to Twain Harte, as these things kind of fall apart as we get into the late afternoon and early evening. But either way, it should just make for a really interesting sky looking from the San Joaquin Valley or even from Sacramento. Seeing those big buildups should be some really pretty clouds. And then during the day on Thursday, the chance of showers and thunderstorms is much, much farther to the south. So it looks as though our chance of thunderstorms for the Sierra is really a one-day event. And today it looks like it's going to be a little bit farther south than what the models were saying yesterday. All right, so what about the weekend? What about Saturday? The Saturday is now into the range of the NAM. So this is the 12Z NAM. And this shows the same thing, that the chance of thunderstorms this afternoon is basically a little farther south. This is kind of hinting at maybe up to Interstate 80. Wouldn't be surprised if that happened. All dissipating, and then on Thursday, the activity is farther to the south. That's Thursday afternoon. Friday looks like a nice day. Showers in the Sierra, and more impacting the east side. So for those of you in Carson City and Reno, you may even get some of the leftovers from that on Friday afternoon. Okay, so this model now starts to get into the day on Saturday. This is Saturday morning. This is 5 a.m. Let's go to 8 a.m. Excuse me. Still dry. Then as we head into the afternoon, this is 1 p.m. Scattered showers, and this is 5 p.m. So if you have outdoor plans, this model is showing that things are okay. However, I wouldn't be surprised if this model, the NAM, trends a little bit wetter over the next 24 hours. I know for those of you that have outdoor plans Saturday, that's not reassuring. But the other thing I want to point out is how much cooler it's going to get. So these are our 5,000 foot temperatures, and I'll go back to today. So today at 5 o'clock at 5,000 feet, we have temperatures in the upper 50s. Tomorrow, the first day of May, we're also into the upper 50s, 59. And then on Friday afternoon, we're also still pretty mild, although a little bit cooler, mid 50s. So today, tomorrow, mid to upper 80s, nice warm days. A little bit cooler Friday. We'll probably see increasing clouds, but we'll go from the mid 50s on Friday. Again, these are 5,000 foot temperatures. And by Saturday afternoon, that is now down to the mid 40s or low 40s. That means that down at the surface, we could see, let's see, we could go down from, just kind of ballparking here, a temperature at the surface today and tomorrow, mid 80s, let's say, and then we'd probably be talking about low 70s. So maybe not quite as cold as it was last weekend, but there is the zero line out there. I think Saturday night could be rather chilly as more cold air will come in. Let's take a look at the day on Saturday from the GFS, because the GFS doesn't have the resolution that you'd want, but it is a little bit wetter. This is Saturday afternoon. That's Saturday at 5 p.m. So that looks a little bit different than the NAM. Certainly looks wetter than the NAM does. I think this is overdone, and I think, let me get back to the precip mode over here. I think the NAM is underdone. You know, when I say this, I mean, these are just, you know, weather hunches. I hate to put it that way, but it kind of is. This is 5 p.m. on Saturday from the NAM, and then this is from the GFS. So you can see the GFS looks a little bit wetter, but keep in mind it doesn't have the right resolution in order to really describe whether or not there's going to be rain, let's say in Auburn versus Grass Valley. This you just can't do that off of this model. But I wouldn't be surprised if, as we get into the day tomorrow, and the NAM takes another couple of stabs at this, and it becomes in closer range, that this gets a little bit wetter. And the only reason I say that is because we have so much cold air coming in that you're probably going to squeeze out a little bit more rain than this shows. There's just going to be a lot of cold air advection coming in during the day on Saturday and into Sunday. Now Sunday, right now, actually looks okay. I'll go back to the GFS. And while it shows some mountain showers on Sunday, it really doesn't show much for the valley. And with that in mind, if you're picking one day to do something in the valley, I think Sunday is going to be your better day. Saturday, I should say the Sierra, will probably have showers on both of the days, and it will stay pretty cool. Okay, so today's Wednesday, and for those of you making outdoor plans, you've got events going on, and I've heard from a few of you that have events going on this Saturday. I hate to tell you that we still have to stay tuned on this, because while it doesn't look like it's going to rain everywhere, and there will be areas that won't see any rain at all. Again, just like I said yesterday, what do we know? What do we not know? We know that it's going to get colder on Saturday. It's going to be a much cooler day, but maybe not as chilly as it was last weekend. But still, Saturday will be a cooler day than what we'll see over the next few. But there will likely be some scattered showers. But whether or not it's going to rain at any one time at any one location, that's a detail we do not know at this time. There will be scattered showers. I also don't think there's going to be as much snow as we saw last weekend. So maybe we'll just have rain and maybe some slushy snow at 7,000 feet. But chain controls look a lot less likely this weekend than what we saw last weekend. So that's everything I know right now. The update tomorrow will most likely have a much better detail about Saturday. But again, scattered showers and cooler. But again, for any specific location at a specific time, we really don't know about the day on Saturday right now. So that's everything I've got for you this morning. Make it a great day. I'll talk with you later.